The United Nations passed a resolution last week that aims to launch an investigation into alleged human rights abuses in North Korea. So just how bad is the situation in the north, and will the UN probe prompt any real changes? Our foreign affairs correspondent Hwang Sung-hee tells us more.
Actually, there is a very famous slogan in North Korea: nothing to envy in the world. But actually, they should envy everything.
It's no secret that the average North Korean is stripped of the most basic human rights. And compared to them, North Korean defector Kim Kwang-jin says he was afforded a life of relative privilege.
I worked at the best North Korean company, which was called Korea Foreign Insurance Company. And it was managed by Jang Song-taek, the brother-in-law of Kim Jong-il.
However, all this was soon to change once he was suspected of leaking important information to enemies like the United States and South Korea. If he hadn't escaped, Kim would have been forced into one of the country's many political prisons, where An Myung-chul, a former guard at one of the camps, says prisoners are subject to inhumane treatment.
Those in North Korea's political prisons are very miserable because they are jailed, forced into labor, and are abused for a very long time. It's like a modern-day version of a slave prison.
It's believed that at least 200,000 people are being held in North Korea's political prisons, where rapes, torture, executions, and slave labor are common. In an attempt to end North Korea's alleged crimes against humanity, the UN Human Rights Council passed a resolution last week to launch a thorough investigation on the issue.
Of course, there are doubts about the effectiveness of the UN probe, as it's highly unlikely that the UN inspectors will be allowed on North Korean soil. However, many believe that the investigation could turn out to be a much bigger threat than any of the sanctions ever imposed on the communist nation.
Ultimately, the investigation could take North Korean leader Kim Jong-un all the way to the International Criminal Court, which could lead to division within North Korea's ruling party.
Sanctions from nuclear provocations are imposed on the entire ruling party of North Korea, so it's an occasion for them to join forces. But reports to the International Court of Crime are made on an individual, so it could divide the internal government and spark a power struggle.
There's no doubt that the UN probe will cast much-needed international attention on the dire human rights situation in North Korea. And for people like Mr. An, the investigation is a flicker of hope for his family back in the north.
I have my mother and my brothers and sisters in political prisons. I really hope that an investigation into their conditions will be made as soon as possible.
Hwang Sung-hee, Arirang News.